Hey, crypto traders, checking in on the market. A lot has changed over the weekend. We had a big short squeeze yesterday. We've had a sentiment shift in the air. The question is, can the bulls follow through from here? Some people are left in the dust. We'll look at what the scenarios are and the potential game plans for those that are feeling a bit of FOMO. And we'll see if our monthly higher lows are set. So a very significant shift underway. We're going to have the highest daily volume that we've seen in over a month, at least on Coinbase, and it's for the bulls. This is obviously the biggest bull move that we have seen since the weekly downtrend was confirmed at 47,000. And it might not even be the biggest percentage move. Probably isn't. But in terms of the conviction of this move and the sustained follow through over the last 6 days, it's the most significant. So we're going to look back at a couple things and we'll look forward from there. So first things first, Bitcoin, key daily support test. It was a bit of a falling wedge on the daily time frame. We had that 12-hour downtrending support line that we were keeping an eye on, and the resistance line ended up breaking bull fairly early into the move. And really yesterday was just a short squeeze. Something like $1 billion of shorts were liquidated, and we had 1-minute candles that were going $1,500 in that one candle. That is something that just surprised a lot of people and said, oh yeah, Bitcoin can do that insane fast volatility. So here was that move where just the 1-minute time frame, the volume through the roof, and in 2 minutes, we went from 36.7 to 39.6. So essentially a 9% move in 2 minutes, which again is absolutely insane. You'll never see a name like Apple do that. Once an asset gets to a certain point, the liquidity dictates that just can't happen. Obviously, Bitcoin is not mature to that point yet, and hopefully it gets to that point at some point, because that means it's likely at a lot higher price with a lot more institutional money involved. So a massive move up. We're still up at the highs. We have not topped out just yet. Are these our monthly higher lows? So let's first go back and look at a number of things. Number one, death cross. Moving average 50, crossing 200 to the downside. We were talking about how that means absolutely nothing. It's a laggard indication. All it is doing is telling us that we confirmed a weekly downtrend, and we had that information 5 weeks prior to when the death cross took place. Then you had people, including Michael Blurry, I think I called him, talking about this being a head and shoulders. This is not a head and shoulders. A head and shoulders is going from an uptrend to a downtrend. If you wanted to call it a head and shoulders, it was right there, confirming the weekly downtrend. Anybody acting on that head and shoulders, number one, does not identify head and shoulders correctly, and number two, is very late to the game. It ended up being a weekly bear flag with zero follow through. We've got a monthly EMA 12 support test. This is NIO, growth stock NIO. It's having some trouble with the Chinese stocks this last week, or this last month, the last couple weeks. But all-time high, 4 months of consolidation, multiple candles, multiple wicks off EMA 12, monthly higher low has been set. Being in tune with the growth sector and playing those monthly higher lows is the only reason that I have a swing position in Bitcoin and ETH for these monthly higher lows. It looks very, very similar. And again, I just played the initial break of 30,000. I established my risk-free positions. Granted, if I had played it perfectly, I would have sold into the 30% move and then reloaded off support. But I decided to just let it sit tight. So still in those positions, playing for the monthly higher low. We have to confirm a daily trend change. That has not happened yet. We're going to be looking for a daily higher low and higher high to prove to us the monthly higher low has been set. Normally, it's a weekly trend change that indicates a monthly higher low has been set. And I guess technically speaking, you could say we held weekly support and broke weekly resistance. We need to change the daily trend, because what that will show us is, yes, a bunch of shorts were squeezed. That's not enough. And we've seen in the past ACB, this is Canadian MJ name, and you can see how much information I get from trading the stock world that I apply to trading cryptocurrency. But ACB, many times in its past, short squeezes with zero follow through and no daily trend change, and we give the entire move back. So short squeezes are great. It's great to slap the other side in the face and say, hey, we're sticking around and we're still here. And you got too complacent in your positions, But once we top out, we cannot slow fade. We must set the higher low and higher high because, again, that shows us bulls on the sideline buying the higher low and then just continued pressure put on any shorts. If we confirm the daily trend change, it will likely be into August, and we will break the pattern of a lower high each month, and our monthly higher low will be set for me. And then from there, the question that I have for the next 4 or 5 months, do we set a monthly lower high and an equilibrium and tighten up into mid 2022? Or do we see increasing bull volume, hype, and FOMO to V-shape to an all-time high? In my opinion, you can't have that V-shape to an all-time high without a news catalyst. And there's a potential news catalyst. Everybody's now talking about the Amazon rumor. Just be aware that if Amazon comes out, they have earnings on, I believe, Wednesday. Double check my days. There's a lot of tech earnings this week. But I believe they have earnings on Wednesday. If they come out and say, hey, we're accepting Bitcoin for everything and we're doing our own coin in 2022, this is pricing in that move to a certain degree. And we can't say it's fully priced in. We don't have enough information to say that. But just know that the bull reaction will be less significant because the rumor led to this bull reaction and led to a reset of all these shorts getting knocked out of their positions. So be aware of that fact. Also be aware of the other earnings that we have coming. We got Facebook, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla, all this week. And everybody's going to be looking for information related to Bitcoin and crypto. If we get any additional companies, that's additional bullish upside. If Amazon comes out with their earnings on Thursday and doesn't say a word about cryptocurrency, I would look for that to be a temporary indication of consolidation and a potential short-term sell the lack of news event, so to speak, where this is people buying the rumor. And then if on the earnings conference call, if there's nothing about crypto, then it would be a buy the rumor, sell the lack of news event. Just something to be aware of. There's a lot of people feeling FOMO right now that are not in positions. And if I was not in my long-term no touch and my monthly swing position, I would be feeling it as well. I wanted more position. I would have added, once we got this bull move on Friday, I should say, that was enough for me to say, okay, I'm scouting, entering more on a daily higher low. And obviously that never happened, so I never added to my position, but I would have. So I still will consider adding to my position on daily consolidation, perhaps a back test and hold of daily EMA support, which is going to be catching up here over the next few days. 4-hour chart, higher low established, it's a bull flag trying to confirm. So 37.6 is our new key support level, and resistance is 37.8 thousand. If we break 37.8, we're looking at 40 psychological, and then we're looking at 41.3, the high of the recent bounce. Not the initial bounce. The initial bounce got up to 42.6, but 41.3 is the second highest level that we saw on this bounce. Hourly time frame just had an equilibrium break bull. EMA 12 support held, 37.6 held. We had 5-minute oversold conditions for the first time. Look at the 5-minute bounces. This is showing us bulls are aggressively buying dips. 5-minute oversold at 37.6, and we go up over $1,000. And then we see 5-minute oversold again, and now we're pushing $1,500 to the upside. So we are seeing back burners, which is a great sign. Again, we want to see bulls buying any dips that they can in terms of keeping this move going. When we lose the 4-hour uptrend, it'll be the first indication of daily consolidation. As soon as that happens, I then start scouting first hourly oversold conditions, looking for a daily higher low. And if I want to make a play on adding a position, I can do the exact same thing I did on the 30,000 flush. Or I should say the flush to 30,000. Which is I played the flush at 30,000 is where I established my swing positions. So what does that mean? How can I do it? Let's say we just dump from here. Hourly oversold conditions. I can scale in a couple positions, and then when the bounce gets going, if I did a good enough job scaling in where I wasn't too early and I had a good break even, I can exit half of my position. Let's say $800 to the upside. So let's just say hourly oversold. If it were to happen at 34,000, I'm just making all this up. But if it happened at 34,000 and I'm in with an average of 34.3 and we bounce up to 35 and I exit half of my position right under 35. So now my break even is 33.6. I can set my stop at break even there, and I will either nail the daily high or low and we see a confirmed trend change and I have a great entry, or the hourly oversold bounce does not see follow through and we see another leg to the downside and I stop out break even. And that is the play that I did on the monthly. I had zero risk. I had my stop loss under the low. Granted, I would have pulled my stop loss if it were going to have been triggered in daily oversold. My position size is small enough that I would have been comfortable because I would have been buying. If we broke 28.8 there into daily oversold, I would have been buying. I would not have been stopping out of my position. So the bottom line is, though, I was in a risk-free position to let this play out over the last month. And I love being in risk-free positions where it's either I nail it or I lose nothing or very little if I am wrong. So that's a potential play on the next hourly oversold conditions that we see as we scout daily higher lows. If we confirm the daily trend change, monthly higher lows are likely set, and then we'll see how long the bulls can keep control from there. Dominance chart made a big bull break. So I've been talking over the past few weeks and talking about the pattern that has been the case where it is the altcoin bulls leading the way to the upside. And that is what keeps me confident in the strength of the bulls. And when it is Bitcoin leading the way to the upside, I am not confident. News changes that. And again, we haven't had news in Bitcoin, but we have the rumor of news. And that is essentially a smaller version of the same thing. As soon as this short squeeze took place, everything that I have in my brain about the patterns of the dominance chart and the altcoin BTC pairings for this recent move is out the window. For the last few months, we've been watching these patterns. They've been consistent. It's now out the window for me because this bull move on Bitcoin and on the dominance chart is big enough for me to say, okay, everything that I observed in the past few months, I am calling pre-pump, and now I'm starting with a fresh, clean slate of observations for post-pump. And again, it's the individual news. I'm looking at the dominance chart and saying, what could be a scenario that we go up in this dominance chart with the cryptocurrency space going up as well? It has to be news for Bitcoin. I can't imagine Bitcoin leading the way on its own unless there is a news catalyst. So let's see if this Amazon news does follow through as true. And again, it's just a clean slate of observations, starting from scratch. I know what it used to be. It's no longer the case now, and I need to have a mental reset. And I have to react to the changing market environment. Because if I do not react to the changing market environment, that is how we stay stubborn, and that is how we lose. If I do something in a bull market of Bitcoin and then we hit all-time highs and start monthly consolidation, and I keep doing the same thing, I'm going to get back a lot of money. Have to adjust with the changing market environment. So we are testing key dominance levels here of 48.28 and 48.69. And if those levels break, the weekly trend will confirm the weekly uptrend, and then we'll zoom out and scout a monthly lower high, but the bounce will be underway. It'll be a monthly inside bar bull break if those levels break. And again, it's just this 2-day big time move up because of, in my opinion, Amazon. Really, it started, the momentum shift was in the air for the B word conference. That is when it started. And then you have these rumors being tacked on, and then you have a short squeeze. That's essentially where we are at this point. And it was the short squeeze, perhaps fueled by the rumor, that led to this big dominance push up with the cryptocurrency space going up with it. And how Bitcoin played out is exactly what we want to see in the crypto space if we're bullish. We see the big time pump, it topped out and traded sideways, and then the alts kept going. And then profits went from Bitcoin to Link, and then Link ran, and I believe Doge ran a little bit later, and we saw the laggard action. And it's just rotation. Again, the S&P 500, how it stays strong and how I don't succumb to any of the recent fear is there's always rotation going on. We're never dropping with all of our major sectors at the same time. And so as long as we're seeing coin-to-coin rotation going on here, that is ideal. So nice to see profits not leaving crypto, just jumping from coin to coin. That is when the space is its strongest. And just looking at our rankings today of who's up the most, we've got Link and Matic. Link, Matic, Doge in double digits with Bitcoin. And AXS, which we're about to look at, started to go a bit inverse. It's almost like AXS was the flavor of the month when crypto was boring, and now everybody's like, okay, you had your turn, you had your pump. We're going to the names that haven't pumped yet. So we got Bitcoin, we got dominance, ETH USD, triple bottom at 1700, big time move off the low, 2412 resistance being tested. Even if we don't break that resistance level this time around, tons of space for the daily higher low. Bulls really want to hold on everybody the EMA back test of support on the daily time frame to set that higher low. Because again, it's all about retracements. If we lose that daily EMA 12 and we get a 50% retracement, we're then watching for the potential of a tightening range. If we hold that EMA support, it's a potential bull flag. So that would be ideal if the bulls are able to maintain on a back test. 4-hour uptrend is our guide. ETH is one of the weaker names on this move up, just because other names much stronger. Bitcoin stronger, and then smaller alts saw the laggard pumps. And Ethereum and Binance did to a certain degree, but to a lesser degree than Matic and Link, which are smaller in market cap, easier to move. 4-hour uptrend is our guide on ETH. We'll call anything above 2108 a 4-hour higher low. We are riding 4-hour EMA 12 support for the last week plus. First 5-minute oversold conditions, 2310 and 2301. So we hit 2301, we bounced 3%. We hit 2310, we bounced 2%. So buying the dips. And when we roll over and lose the 4-hour EMA 12, we know to keep an eye out for hourly oversold conditions, scouting a daily higher low. ETH BTC dropping these 2 days. So again, Bitcoin outperforming ETH, and ETH is still range bound in this weekly equilibrium where we've got our all-time or our high, low, lower high, double bottom, lower high, and now just sideways. And you can see the daily chart is in a tightening range as well. I care more about 55.2 and 691 than I do about our recent levels, but certainly making note that it is continuing to trade sideways and tighten up. And Binance, I love the weekly chart for clarity. It is the most clear chart in crypto right now for me because I find equilibriums very clear. So we set our higher low at 254, and now we're looking at resistance of 340. If 340 breaks, it is a weekly higher low and higher high and equilibrium bull break. So we're heading up towards 340, and just like Ethereum, if we don't break it, there's no major red flags. We got plenty of space to try for a daily higher low to then try and break it from there. And the BTC pairing is weaker, but it is still holding a weekly higher low at this point, and the bulls would love to maintain 7816 to keep this a tightening weekly equilibrium. Bulls have to show up. And again, big drop. It seems to me, I haven't observed everybody, but it seems to me the larger market cap coins are not benefiting nearly as much as the smaller market cap coins are on this Bitcoin pump. It looks to me like Bitcoin pumped, and then profits ran to the small cap altcoins. So AXS, as that pump was going on for Bitcoin, we had this going on. It was the only red name on my screen where we just dumped. And this was a hard 10% plus dump. And again, this is while Bitcoin was raging. And then started its consolidation, but big red flag. So it just shows me losing favor. And I would consider anything above 14.13 a daily high or low. We could be watching for 4-hour oversold conditions at this point. Actually, take that back. We haven't seen hourly since this ran up. So we can be watching hourly oversold conditions at this point, which are approaching right now. Clear hourly downtrend. Lower high 38.25. Next support level, really just looking at psychological levels. Support was not established in this range. 32.28 previous resistance, now support. But keep an eye out for hourly oversold conditions. Just be skeptical because, again, it's a bit tricky. The fact that it's dropping while everything else is holding up so strong. And it's because we can see that AXSBTC is dumping as well. It's already hourly oversold. So we know the spotlight and the ideal place for altcoin bulls is the US dollar and BTC pairing both going up. If the BTC pairing is leading, it's even better. But if the BTC pairing is leading to the downside, that is as weak as you can be in the crypto space. But still watching that hourly oversold bounce. Link USD. So again, you can see the move on Saturday, unimpressive. But then Sunday is when that move really took place. And again, it was the laggard action. When can we say the volume really started taking off here? 2045 yesterday. And Bitcoin's move, yeah, right in line with that. But the big tell was Bitcoin topped at 21 and then pulled back for 15 minutes. And at that point in time, that's a pullback of 5%. And Link, this is 21, and we went sideways and then continuation. So Bitcoin down 5%, Link sideways, and then kept going up. And that's when the rotation started becoming very clear as far as continued strength. But bulls still have proving to do. We got to change this daily trend. We're coming off of a downtrend. We've got a falling wedge-like setup. It was a beauty. Love falling wedges. So 21.27 is the next resistance. We'll have to confirm a clear daily trend change. We'll have to confirm a weekly trend change. Again, names that set a weekly high or low are not equivalent to names that set a weekly lower low. We're in a weekly downtrend right now. If we break 21.27, we will break the weekly lower high. But into August and September, we have to see a confirmed weekly trend change if our monthly high or low is going to be convincingly set here. So weekly trend changes will be needed on a lot of altcoins. And Link BTC is much weaker than Link USD. Tried to change the daily trend and failed any follow through. So we have to remain a bit skeptical if the BTC pairing is not in the spotlight tick for tick correlated to the upside. You could draw this falling wedge a number of ways. I like the support line. I don't love the resistance line. We need more follow through, and then we zoom out and scout the weekly lower high. And we need the weekly trend change here as well. Matic, again, not present on Saturday for the bulls. They showed up on Sunday in a big way. Weekly time frame is coming off a low. Anything under 270 is a weekly lower high. We will have to confirm a weekly trend change. And the BTC pairing, daily trend change has not taken place. So it's not ideal. It's a good move, absolutely. There's opportunity, but it is not your classic lead bull scenario because we're not in a daily uptrend. We're not seeing a big bull move. It's a big green day, but we're not seeing the tick for tick relationship where the US dollar and BTC pairings are just doing the same thing in their uptrends. And that's ideal for the bulls when that is taking place. So again, if you got FOMO, if you got no position, number one, in hindsight, you want to establish some kind of no-touch position when nobody is talking about crypto and when there's fear. That's the best time to be buying longer-term positions if you want a no-touch position. Fear. Just look historically. In the stock market and in Bitcoin, when there is fear, if you buy every single time in the history of forever of both of those two things, it's the best time to be buying. Otherwise, you have to wait for hourly oversold. You have to wait for a daily high or low. You can be real picky. If you're an alt looking at some of these altcoins, you can say, all right, I'm going to wait for a weekly high or low. Maybe we go up for another 3 weeks first, but establish your clear criteria. And if you have no exposure, maybe you're a little bit more aggressive to establish your initial exposure. But again, I cannot stress enough the importance of no-touch long-term positions if you believe in this space to allow for, it's the anti-FOMO. It allows for blocking these emotions from dictating our decisions. At this point, I'll be interested in hourly oversold conditions. I'm about to be traveling a bit, And I'm not going to have another YouTube video out for maybe another week. But we'll see if the trade comes to me and if I'm ready for it. But I'm not going to be on the computer a whole lot in the next few days. So I'm just going to let it play out. I've got my long-term no-touch. I've got my swing positions. They're not huge positions, but I've got certainly plenty of exposure to be positioned well for monthly higher lows. And then from here, for any capital that I have left that is not used up, I'll be using for 15-minute hourly oversold bounces. And the question from here is, number one, where do we top out? And then number two, can we confirm daily trend changes into the start of August? Congrats to the Bulls. What about Bears? What are Bears looking for from here? I'd be keeping an eye out. I mean, I just feel, I was saying it in the chat room over the weekend, my gut is telling me the momentum shift is going on. And of course, yesterday helped confirm that a lot. But I have to keep my gut in check to a certain degree. It's paid off. I think this was the theme of the weekend video. But it's paid off in the past. But I have to realize it is a gut and there's not a ton of substance behind it. So I have to ensure that I'm not blindly following my gut. But for me, there's enough of a sentiment shift in the air that I really wouldn't be focused on shorting a whole lot in this space right now. If we get absolutely insane moves to the upside and you can top fish a 1 minute lower high to try and look for that Bitcoin 5% pullback in 15 minutes, that's worthwhile if you're an experienced trader. But we know daily consolidation will be inevitable. It's just going to be really hard to time this current top. Let's see if Bitcoin gives us a 4-hour confirmed bull flag with a lack of follow through, then an aggressive bear is looking to try and top fish around these tops. That would be something to look for. But again, I've got a bullish lean, and ever since we started looking for that monthly high or low, that's been the case. And again, going back, I was not confident that our monthly low was set, but I positioned myself in a low risk, high reward scenario in case it was, which is what the name of the game for trading is all about. Feel free to ask any questions. Hope you had a good weekend. Congrats to the Bulls. And I will see you sometime. Do good things. This is some Chinese pink celery. We'll add that. We'll add some dill flour for some flavoring. That's the dill flour. Onions aren't very sized up. They like the spring and the fall better than the summer. But it'll add some flavor. This is some garlic I've already had curing, just hanging and drying out. Drinking my blackberry and rhubarb water. Some cleaned vegetables. We're going in a crock pot. This carrot variety is like a gobstopper.